Welcome back to the Purple Political Breakdown. How's it going? How's your day been? And we are back at it again with another episode and a couple of updates as well. Appreciate you all tuning in and rate the podcast 5 stars if you are enjoying what you're listening to. And always follow the motto here: political solutions without political bias. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a couple updates. I'm going to be back in the lab for the Purple Political Breakdown, where content is going to be much more levied and spread out for a lot of different areas. So stay in tune. You can follow all my socials on my website, www.purplepoliticalbreakdown.com. The 2 episodes a week will still continue, but I will be kind of changing it where Thursday will be more national news and Monday will be local Ohio politics. I'm going to be a man of my word. I keep on telling you, be involved with your local politics, but you have to practice what you preach. And I will be focusing more on Ohio politics, what's going on now, and ways that I think can better improve where I live currently. So with that said, today is going to be some more news, some more things that is going on in the political landscape. So lock in, ladies and gentlemen, and let's dive right into it. First things first, OpenAI debuts GPT-40 and Google launches Gemini 1.5. This is the new era of AI, ladies and gentlemen, and you can complain about it as much as you want, but at some point you're going to have to lock in because this is just going to be the new era of technology. Always have to keep in mind that AI technology will be huge, not only for personal and commercialization use, but also military warfare, as the U.S. wants to be able to compete with countries like China. Next, we got Joe Biden announced a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles, a part of a larger package. Sources said the move followed a 4-year review, and it was a preventative measure designed to stop cheap, subsidized Chinese goods flooding with U.S. market and stifling the growth of the American green technology sector, as well as a tariff increase from 25 to 100% on electric vehicles. Levies will rise from 7.5 to 25% on lithium batteries, from 0 to 25 on critical minerals, from 25 to 50% on solar cells, and from 25 to 50% on semiconductors. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, and personal protective equipment will range from 0 to 7.5, will raise to 25%. So interesting news. I'm sure you guys agree regarding this stuff that's taking place between our relationship with China. A lot of the things that Joe Biden is doing is also things that Donald Trump himself indicated that he wanted to do personally in terms of kind of pushing China back. So as the tensions rise, this type of dealing, it will be huge in terms of how the relationship continues to progress. Speaking of Donald Trump and Joe Biden, June 27th and September 10th will have their presidential debates. I'm considering pretty much recording the entire debate. I think that's probably what I plan to do. I think it's too important not to break down from my own personal value system. So probably going to do that for the Trump-Biden debate, June 27th, September 10th. Make sure you guys are watching, or make sure you guys watch me watch it. Just lock in, of course, ladies and gentlemen. I spoke about AI. Let me return back to the conversation because AI funding proposal from the Senate. Like I said before, the United States wants to compete with its competitors in terms of how AI is going to be used. A bipartisan group of senators led by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is urging Congress to approve a $32 billion in funding for artificial intelligence research to ensure the United States remains competitive with China in this crucial technological supremacy. I wouldn't say war, I wouldn't say conflict, but for supremacy. This initiative comes amidst growing concerns about China's advancement in AI and the potential for its misuse, including interference in elections, development of bioweapons, and cyber attacks. The senators emphasized the importance of investing in AI to safeguard national security interests and maintain technological leadership. The proposal funding would support non-defense applications of AI and potentially include significant funding for defense-related AI as well. Additionally, the senators are advocating for cross-government AI research and developmental initiatives, including initiatives to enhance AI-ready data capabilities and government infrastructure for AI testing and evaluation. They also highlighted the need for increased funding for the Commerce Department's Export Control Division to regulate the export of advanced AI technology to China. Despite previous efforts to pass AI legislation, progress has been slow, but the senators are hopeful that Congress will take action by the end of the year. Funny thing is, not only is this going to be led by Democrats, but also Republicans as well, knowing the importance of AI and the future of AI, of course. Now, I also want to revisit the conversation regarding Donald Trump and kind of cook him a little bit. I'm sorry, Donald Trump fans, but hypocrisy is something, isn't it? The GOP apparently wants people to do mail-in ballots. This is a quote from Rep. Scott Perry, a huge Trump advocate, saying, "We have to get right on using these mail-in ballots for the people who can't get there on election day." Even Donald Trump is basically enforcing and motivating, inspiring people to send in mail-in ballots. Don't you think it's funny how everything kind of comes full 360? How Trump talks about, oh, mail-in ballots, corrupt, bad. That's why I lost the election. To, hey, I need you guys to do mail-in ballots so I can win the election. I don't really have to say much, ladies and gentlemen. And the Trump supporters are going to try to twist the narrative to say, but they're doing it so I can do it. I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not trying to hear it. The truth of the matter is mail-in ballots are completely natural. Trump was doing mail-in ballots as well, but because he made people scared of mail-in ballots, thinking that it's completely corrupt, now he has to go back on his word, go back on his hypocritical statements so he can actually get people to do mail-in ballots. That is what took place. That is 100% what took place. He is biting his own words. So I don't really need to say much regarding that. Let's talk about stuff that is going on with Israel and Palestine. Over 300,000 civilians flee Rafah as Israel approaches. The U.S. military has completed the installation of a floating pier for the Gaza Strip, aiming to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid to the region, which has been severely affected by 7 months of intense fighting in the Israel-Hamas war. This maritime route supplements land-based deliveries, providing a complex logistical solution to bolster aid effort. Despite challenges such as weather and security concerns, U.S. and Israeli forces have collaborated to establish this aid distribution system. The pier, anchored offshore, will receive aid shipments from cargo ships and transfer them onto trucks for distribution at a port facility southwest of Gaza City, while the initial aid deliveries are expected to start soon. Ongoing security monitoring will dictate the continuity of the maritime route. This initiative, part of President Joe Biden's directive, underscores efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And an update as of right now of recording this episode is, hear me out, the UK said it delivered its first aid shipment through the temporary floating pier Friday as aid agencies say southern Gaza is running out of food and fuel. U.S. military officials have said they expect the pier to support up to 150 truckloads of aid per day. The Rafah crossing, which has been the main entry point for aid via land, has been shut for 2 weeks after Israeli forces took control of the Gaza side as part of a ground operation. Separately, the Israeli military said it found bodies of 3 hostages in Gaza, which is interesting because hostages are a big selling point for Israel in particular. But with that said, it looks like from the other countries, at the very least, that they are willing to send aid for Rafah and for the Palestinians. But Israel and its relationship with the United Nations does not seem like it's getting any better. But we'll see how everything kind of takes place. Mississippi has banned transgender bathroom bans. Bans transgender people to use bathrooms that don't align with their sex, and it also mandates public buildings to provide either single gender or unisex public restrooms in changing areas. So Mississippi has passed this transgender bathroom ban, not allowing transgender people to go in to bathrooms that don't align with their sex that they had from birth, regardless of how much you pass or whatever. But they are forcing public buildings to have some type of unisex or single sex bathroom. So there is not any problem for transgender people to use the bathroom in the first place. I personally have no issue with this as long as you put it in place where they have a place to go to the bathroom in these public areas. Who really cares? Like, what are you really going to say? Oh, I can't go in this bathroom. So, like, at the bathroom, it just makes it everybody more comfortable, including yourself as a transgender person. So, I personally don't think it's a big deal. Supreme Court approves new Louisiana congressional map, adding a second majority black district. That is huge for Louisiana. We got some stuff regarding Russia and China as they met and talked, and their relationship is going to be something we have to keep an eye on as the United States of America. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin have reaffirmed their commitment to a new era of partnership, positioning their nations as counterweights to what they perceive as aggressive U.S. hegemony. I 100% did not say that correctly. During Putin's visit to Beijing, they signed a joint statement opposing the U.S. on various security issues, expressing solidarity on matters like Taiwan, Ukraine, and North Korea, while also pledging cooperation in areas such as nuclear technology and finance. Both leaders share skepticism of Western dominance, viewing the U.S. as in decline and casting themselves as defenders of global fairness and justice. Despite Western criticism of their authoritarian regimes, they have deepened ties, with Putin's visit following U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's unsuccessful attempt to disrupt their relationship. The joint statement condemned U.S. Cold War-era thinking and criticized Western actions in response to the Ukraine crisis. Amidst Western sanctions on Russia, Putin's pivot towards China highlights their strengthening alliance. Though concerns linger within the Russian elite about over-reliance on China, both leaders expressed support for a political resolution to the Ukraine crisis. Putin's visits marked by warm discussions and plans, regardless, blah, 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 blah. Russia and China are trying to become partners and friends to each other. We knew this was going to be a possibility with U.S. trying to help Ukraine and Russia not being able to kind of deliver the final blow. But overall, I mean, this crisis needs to end. And it needs to end now. And I do think that the more this goes, the worse it's going to become for all parties involved. You know, whether it's China starting to get involved, whether it's the U.S. eventually needing to get involved, or whether it's just Ukraine losing to Russia, this conflict needs to end, and it needs to end sooner rather than later. We got a few other things. The New York plans to ban legacy college admissions. Of course, a lot of people don't like legacy admissions. If you don't know what those are admissions that are utilized and placed based off your family lineage to basically give you admission to the college just because of who you're related to. Unfair and definitely, what do they call it? Fraternization. No, there's another word. It starts with the N. I forget. We move on. And last thing, Florida Governor DeSantis has signed a legislation to remove mentions of climate change from state policy starting July 1st. This new law prioritizes energy security and aims to prevent wild farms near coastlines or on promoting the expansion of natural gas. It also bans investment in Chinese companies linked to the Communist Party and seeks to prevent forced labor in state contracts. DeSantis views this move as a rejection of radical climate agendas and foreign influence, but critics argue it ignores the realities of climate change and leaves Florida less prepared for its impacts, such as rising sea levels and extreme weather events. The stuff regarding China, I'm cool with, but the whole thing about, oh, I'm so scared of climate change, I don't want them even talking about it, is just foolish Republican rhetoric per usual, so I really can care less about that. To deny the aspects of climate change is just being ignorant. The scope of climate change, fine. The thing that whether or not it exists is just like it 100% exists. Our climate is 100% changing. Like, that's undeniable. So that's all I got for today. I know I kind of went past that, but we will start doing more local politics as well. So tune in for the podcast episodes. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Little information dump for you guys. Y'all have a good one. Take care and peace.